Hello and welcome to Media7, I'm Russell Brown. Maori Television celebrates its 8th birthday this month. In this show I'll be talking to two of the stars behind the camera there, and I'll be talking to them about this.
Thank you very much, Dunedin. Good evening, New Zealand. Tonight's broadcast, or telecast rather, of It's in the Bag comes from the Mayfair Theatre.
The avuncular Selwyn Featherston Toogood QSO, iconic broadcaster. Debuting on radio in 1954 and television till 1990, It's in the Bag was a fresh change from the staid English fare on our screens. For locals like Murray from Mornington,
Number 3, Murray North.
Gandhi.
Not Gandhi, sir.
it meant getting on the box and the battle for some chromeware.
The Frigidaire Jetomatic fully automatic washing machine valued at $480.
The programme moved all around the country, bringing stardom to your nearest venue.
Coming tonight from the Palmerston North Opera House.
Come the 80s, though, the formula wasn't ageing well.
What a beautiful old theatre.
It's not
It's
bad.
magnificent.
What a beautiful old dress.
Just something I threw together.
But a 20-year hibernation has produced another winner. A modern reinvention on Maori television harks back to its roots.
And I'm not that fat, they fine.
Ka au ko pai tō hanga.
Ooh, she's got the butter knife out, eh? Just waiting for the money. Okay, Horty Chapman and Hemi won the Star Quest TV show with what song?
Buzz off.
It's in the kitty.
Sam Mulgrew there, and yes, a slightly different version of It's in the Bag is back soon for a 4th season on Maori Television. And having attended one of the recordings, such is our commitment to bring you the facts, the Media7 research team can report that it is very good fun indeed. With me now are two storied Maori broadcasters, In the Bag's producer, Libby Hakarai, and series director, Tainui Stevens. Welcome to you both.
Kia ora, Russell.
Now, Libby, It's in the Bag was your baby. How did it come about?
It's funny you should say that because it's still a little bit of a baby. We've got 27 in our crew, Russell, and they call Tainui Dad and me Mum. So,
And I get the impression that it operates like a family.
yeah,
a very big whānau.
It's a big whānau, but yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to do the show was because I was looking for a program that could actually bring a whole bunch of people together from, you know, all sorts of backgrounds that had all sorts of skills. And basically we operate like a whānau. We go out on the road and we sort of, you know, I've made a lot of documentaries and a lot of factual series that seem to be always asking people, look, you know, do you mind if we do this, and can we have this, and would we have to do this? And this was a show where we felt like we could go out and say, look, you can have it. Here you go, have this. And it sort of worked like that, and the theory behind it was, we call it the antidote to reality TV, and there was a lot of reality TV being made 5 or 6 years ago. So we sat around and I said, look, what about a quiz master? You know, what about, I don't know, a Maori University challenge? And we thought, that's boring. And so there were about 3 of us in the office that day, and I said, look, you know, the show that I remember and love, that seemed to hit, you know, all the right and, you know, boxes in terms of being a family show and not exploiting anyone and not, you know, trying to be too clever, was It's in the Bag.
You had to get permission to do
Yes.
the show. Who did you have to ask for that?
Well, funnily enough, I rang TVNZ because, you know, I thought they'll own the rights and I'll have to deal with, you know, sort of four you know, strands, if you like, the legal department and then whoever and ever and ever, you know. So I rang a person in the legal department and I said, look, I'm interested in the rights for It's in the Bag. And I thought, look, you know, she's just going to sort of say, look, you know, can't help you know, it's property and, you know. She said, look, we don't own it. We don't own the broadcast rights, so, you know, Kit Toogood, Selwyn's son, you could talk to him and here's his phone number. And I thought, that just doesn't happen. I rang Kit and I said, look, you don't know who I am, but I'm a TV producer. And there was this long pause and I said, look, I'm interested, It's in the Bag. And he said, look, we've had a lot of people want to do the show since, you know, and there's been a couple of runs and a couple of versions and we're not interested. I said, oh, that's a shame, Kit, because, you know, I have actually written something down. It's just a one-page, you know, all flustered. And I said, could I send it to you? And he said, no, we're not interested. I said, oh, OK. Well, what we wanted to do was a version for Māori TV. Actually, that's not true. it wasn't just for Maori TV. What we wanted to do was a bilingual version. And I said we wanted to do a show that actually talked about family, that families could watch together, that talked about our small towns, because they don't get anything. And, you know, the recession had just hit, and I thought, you know, it'd be a good news story, a good, fun show. And he said, actually, would be really keen to see that. Send me the one page, and he rang me the next day and said, look, we're on.
Well, at what point did you find out that Selwyn Tūgood himself whakapapa to Ngāi Tahu? Because that's a nice thing.
That was the thing. The next day when Kit rang, he said to me, look, I've spoken to my brother in Fiji, and we're very interested and we want to do this. Because our father was Ngāi Tahu, and not many people knew that, and he was very, very proud of his Ngāi Tahu roots. And you know, it's when all the worlds collide, really, and you think, you know, that's a tohu, that's a sign that this is supposed to happen.
Yeah, we'll bring the director in here. I thought Libby made an interesting point about the fact that it's not like modern reality television. The prizes aren't big, people aren't scrambling all over each other to win, are they? Is that part of the appeal for you?
I think there's a genius about the format because it's so simple, and as Libby says, it is a bit of an antidote, because people who participate aren't in it ultimately for the value of the prize. They're in it just to participate and to take part. Pure and Stacey are very welcoming. They make people feel good on stage. And what kind of happens now as we go around little towns is that the contestants play with Pure and Stacey. So when it comes to the bidding for the prize or whatever, we often see little old ladies or komatsua or anyone just winding Pure up. So there's a different kind of tussle happening, because ultimately it's not the value of the prize but just participating. We get people who win, you know, a hula hoop, and they're thrilled, absolutely thrilled. And you know, we can't offer a lot of bucks. I remember we did a show in Kaikoura in the series before, and we went back to the hotel afterwards, and that night there was a 20-year-old episode of John Hawkesby doing the Kaikoura show, and he was offering more bucks than we could at the time.
I have to say, the other thing that strikes me, I mean, it fulfills its kaupapa, it has the bilingual element, but it's in there in a very relaxed way. There's no sense of teachiness to it.
Oh,
was it hard to achieve that tone?
I don't think so, because I think there's a certain, you know, when you talk about entertainment television, perhaps the best entertainment television is merely when people can be themselves and share the skills they have as performers, as singers, as comics. And in this series that's yet to show, we have superb music and comic turns that come out of the blue. And we're making the show, and we're like cracking up in the van, and it's hard to call the cameras because everyone's having such a good time. But what I've kind of figured, Russell, is that in a way, the show has an archival thing happening, because as the planet marches towards urbanisation and globalisation and so forth, small towns in New Zealand have a kind of tangata whenua type role in that they are living on the land. And we come along and we capture their personality for half an hour. And it's the fun side of their personality.
Questions about their own land as well. I noticed that.
The questions are local, absolutely. And so, you know...
We tried that. We tried, in the clip that you showed before of, you know, Selwyn's obviously asked a global question, and the guy said, you know, Gandhi. My mum is a retired school teacher and she knows everything. And so I thought, Mum, you write the questions, because that's sort of how it rolls. We've got all sorts of people related to all sorts of people working in the show. So, and I said, you know, could you write the questions? So she wrote these questions. Well, the first 6 questions asked in Otaki, no one knew the answers. And I just sat there going, this is just... I mean, because we don't, you know, and we were literally saying, look, sorry, you're wrong. 3 questions wrong, you know. And I remember Stace turning around to me when the 6th person had been shown, you know, look, you have to leave. And we, you know, no one had got a chance to play for a bag, and I went, so I think she actually made them up on the spot. And it's not a dumbing down process. That's the other thing. We're not playing to dummies. They're not dummies, and we wouldn't do that. But it occurred to me that they know where they live. And it was a real opportunity to actually teach the rest of us about some places. And I've travelled, Tainui's travelled, we've travelled all over this country. And this show, I've actually found some stuff out. And it's been a delight to feel welcomed into a community when we arrive. It's been doubly delightful to see them take over. You know, they literally take over the hall that we're in for that one day and help us, literally. Then they feed us, and then come showtime, it's their show. And we're just, you know, we're just part of their their town.
And sometimes they offer the right answers because, you know, they're local, and who are we to say that our answer is the right one?
So actually Stacey's or Pure's going, correct!
Yeah. Well, we'll pause now and be back after the break to recall New Zealand TV's first Brown Faces.